Hey, loves. Welcome back to the Daily Digest. I am Nigel.
And I am Joshua.
A very bunged up Joshua, isn't it?
Yeah, not a cold this time. I've got hay fever. It's
Oh,
returned.
oh dear. Well, it's that time of year, and the weather is absolutely gorgeous this weekend. But yes, we are back this weekend with another pack show for you. We are going to be talking, oh, well, sort of pride-related stuff, aren't we, in conversation
Yeah, we're
today?
working. We're working up to Pride Month.
Exactly, exactly. We've got the complaints closet back and a little bit of news as well. So, without further ado, let's crack on with the show. So, Josh, the news this week. We've got, well, it's probably the big news of the week, isn't it? And this is about the updated guidance that has been published regarding trans people using toilets, which is
Yes,
very
because
disappointing, isn't it?
that's the biggest issue in the world right now, isn't it?
Mm, exactly, exactly. So, yeah, so the news this week is trans people can be barred from gendered spaces in EHRC's updated draft code. Excuse me. So, Bridget Phillipson, Minister for Women and Equality, has presented the Equality and Human Rights Commission's draft updated guidance, which follows the Supreme Court ruling in April 2025 that sex refers to biological sex. And therefore the guidelines have had to be updated. So, what does the draft code mean? Its aim is to give organisations clear guidance on everyday situations such as who can use on-site toilets. So essentially, I mean, we were talking about this the other day, weren't we? And essentially, it's going to be based upon how you look as to what toilet you can use.
Well, essentially, as well, it's making trans people like a third gender kind of
Mm,
thing. Like they're segregating them. But then, what about intersex people again and things like that? Like, does it? It's
mm,
just. I just don't. I genuinely just don't understand it because if I'm going to toilet, as I've said before, I just want to pee and then wash my hands and leave. I don't. Do you know? I don't really care who's in there as long as they're not doing anything illegal. I don't really care. So I don't understand
mm.
why you can't just let people use the toilet that they want to use.
Exactly. I
Because
mean,
seven years ago, this wasn't an issue. There was trans people using toilets, whatever. Doesn't no one cared. And now, since the right wing told them to get upset, now that's an issue.
yeah, I mean, it raises obvious issues, doesn't it? So, for example, right, and make this make sense. So, it's referring to biological sex. So, if you're a trans person, you have to use the toilet that relates to the sex that you were born as. So, let's
Assigned
say, for
as.
example, let's say, for example, a trans man goes to the toilet. According to the guidance, they've got to use the women's toilets. So, you've got a trans man who looks like either you or I has got a beard, walks into the women's toilets. How is that going to keep women safe from cisgendered men
Exactly. And to be honest,
entering the women's toilets?
that's
It's
probably
not, is it?
gonna cause the exact issue that they made up in the first place. You know how they were saying trans people are
Mm,
gonna pretend to be trans to come in and assault women.
mm,
They never seem to care about the men either. Like the trans, it's only ever trans women that they have an issue
mm.
with. But again, what if now a cis man goes into a toilet, is a predator, because the extremely vast majority of predators are cis white men.
Hmm.
They're going to walk into a bathroom now. They could be watching women, whatever, and then they can go, "Oh, I'm trans." How are they going to prove that?
Exactly. Exactly.
How are they going to say, "No, you're not a trans man"?
Yeah.
They're going to have someone at every single toilet door checking genitals and stuff like
Mm,
that. It's
exactly.
nonsense. It's not.
And
They're
the
going to
other
get sued so much for this.
and the other issue with that is, so if women stand up and say, "No, you're not coming in. You're a man." Well, hang on a minute. According to all these right wing protesters, apparently I'm not a man. Is basically how it's going. And not only that, trans men are then going to get excluded from the toilets they're supposed to be using according to this guidance. So where are they going to go? Where
Well,
are they going to go?
it's purely going to be based on how you look now. So what if you have like a masculine woman who just happens to dress more masculine?
Hmm.
Are they going to then be banned from women's toilets because they're not feminine enough? Or if there's
But
if there's a gay man that's quite feminine and he decides that or non-binary people who just want to wear like a skirt or a dress or
hmm,
whatever they want to wear, is it because you're wearing these stereotypical clothings that they would say that are women's clothing? Does that mean then that you can't go into those toilets?
hmm.
And then you're going to have the only solution then is if there's a disabled toilet, but then they're going to say you're not disabled, so you can't use that one. So
Mm. I mean, this is the thing
it's
for guide.
unworkable.
Yeah, I mean, the guidance isn't inclusive. It's excluding people. It's excluding trans people. And I actually saw you know how they do. You get these artists, these little bits of artwork that like a political piece of artwork to sort of make a point. I saw one this morning actually that was an image of it was drawing of someone holding the guidance in their hand about toilets, and then it had a trans person, or who was depicted to be a trans person, sat on the floor in the corner, hunched over, crying into their arms, a trans flag above them, and the wording above it was equal but separate. And I thought that kind of in just those three words kind of highlighted how exclusionary this guidance is when they're saying it's about being equal.
And where does it end? That's the thing, because there's always going to be someone, there's always going to be something that they're going to be angry at, and they're just going to keep moving forward. Once they get one thing, they're going to get another thing. And I do
they're going to go back to us
believe.
next, aren't
Well,
they? They're going to go back to us next.
Yeah, but I do genuinely believe this isn't just about the toilets. I think they would like to ban trans people from just existing, from having jobs. They would like to be able to say they can't work in places like the issue with M&S that happened.
Mm.
They didn't think that trans people should be allowed to work in like certain M&S areas. Where's it going to end? Is it just going to get to the point where trans people can't even go outside because you know what I mean? It's stupid. It doesn't make sense. Trans people have been around for thousands of years. There's documented cases back into the ancient Egypt times and the Roman times, and I just don't understand why people are so obsessed with it when it genuinely, most people have never met a trans person because there's not that many people, or they have and they don't even know,
and they haven't realised.
Because
and then
you know what I mean?
This is the thing, isn't it? You know, people probably have met trans people and not even realised they're trans.
But I could be like, I'm not, but I could be trans, and everybody I know could like me, talk to me, all my neighbours, everything, and they wouldn't know. And then what is it? As soon as you said like, oh, actually, I am trans, then they just hate you. Like you're the same person. If they didn't know,
exactly.
You know what I mean? It just doesn't. It just like, are they gonna just like, if I start acting more feminine, they're gonna say that I'm trans? Like I've been called trans on social media like an insult when I've defended trans people, that, oh, you're just the T slur. And I was like, well, I'm not, but even if I was, what's it got to do with you anyway? But they're using it as a slur. Like I've been called transgender, and I'm like, but that's not even offensive to me. I don't. It's nonsense. Anyone who don't agree with them, they just call them. They just say, oh, they must be trans, or they must be predators. It's just.
This is the thing. This is their go-to, isn't it? When you provide sort of a compelling argument against theirs, and you are defending the rights of trans people, which, you know, on this podcast we really do defend, because our view is we're all part of the same community. But this is the thing, when they resort to, when you sort of counter their argument, all they have left to resort to is either try to insult you about your looks, like they get your profile picture, for example, and they'll use that and post that and go lol or something like that. And it's like, well, that's my profile picture, but what's funny about that?
I've had that.
Um,
They love to save our pictures, don't they? They love
I know,
screenshotting people's pictures. It's very
I know,
strange behaviour. I wouldn't want their faces kept on my phone.
perverts. Or they'll just call you slurs.
The thing is, they can do all this, whatever, and what they don't realise is trans people are still going to exist.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter what you do, they're still going to be there. There's going
mm,
to be more trans people coming in the
yeah,
future. You know what I mean?
and
It's the same as gay people. We're always going to be here. You can make
I think
laws and
that,
do what you want, but
and
we're going to be
this is the
here.
thing. This is the thing, isn't it? I think there's more. There certainly appears to be more trans people in society now because I think that with the support they've had from the community, they're more confident in coming out and being open about their true, authentic selves. There's obviously been a lot more support for medical procedures and things like that. Okay, it's starting to veer off now because of various different guidance that's been coming out because of all these rulings and stuff like that. But I think that's why trans people are so much at the forefront of people's minds now, and people think that you know they're seeing more trans people in society now. But I think that's a good thing that they've got the confidence to be their true authentic selves and they're not having to hide themselves anymore.
Yeah, but I
Because
think it's
there's nothing worse than being your genuine self and having to feel that you've got to hide it.
yeah, but I think because we've also got such big social media now and news is 24/7,
Mm,
it makes it seem like it's bigger than it is.
mm.
And as we've said before, it's like less than 1% of the population. You know what I
Isn't
mean?
it
It
like
just
not isn't aren't trans people like 0.5% of the
yeah,
population
yeah.
or the
So it's
makeup?
and this is what I always say, like if you're that terrified of these apparently terrifying trans people, they're like less than 0.5% of the population.
Mm.
And to be honest, I'm more uncomfortable being in a room like a group of cis men than I would be of trans people.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, that's
Because
why we have
all my life, all the abuse I've had, all the homophobia I've experienced has been from cis men,
mm. But
not
I mean
trans people.
that's why we have LGBTQ plus bars and safe spaces like that. That's why we have them. That's why we have things like Pride as well. Obviously we're talking about Pride coming up, aren't we? But that's why we have these things because they're places for us to feel safe. I mean, I've gone to your bog standard bars or clubs, and I've not always felt comfortable because
Yeah, I
you,
don't.
because you've got and and I've witnessed this in bars and clubs where you've got your cis white men that stand there looking at all the girls that are coming in and pulling faces and making derogatory misogynistic comments, and I just think no, this is wrong. And
And they always make I've seen quite a few times, especially with this warm weather, and the blokes are all sat outside smoking and drinking.
mm,
But I saw the other day when I went into town, there was a group of young girls. I would say they looked to me about 15, 16 to me,
mm.
and they were wearing like summer clothes, like crop tops and stuff. And the blokes were like wolf whistling them and calling them darling and stuff. And I was like, what is going on in your mind that you think
You
that's
see,
acceptable? That's to
you
me,
see,
that's predatory. That's what you should be
and,
angry
and
at.
exactly, and this is the thing.
And it's
We're in,
normalized.
we're living in a society, right now where uh, violence against women and girls is quite a big topic, and it is absolutely right that we should be standing up against violence against women and girls because it is a problem in society. And then you've got people like that that are clearly displaying overtly predatory behaviour, and yet they're worrying about trans people using toilets.
And actually,
Make make that make sense.
let me just mention this as well. That Tommy Robinson rally thing that happened the other day.
Oh yeah, the racist march. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a bloke who was there live streaming, like those white men that think they're famous and live stream everything on Facebook.
Oh yeah.
He was doing that, and there was there was a mum and a daughter who were attending the rally. I don't know why you take your kids there in the first place, but still. And he was
Because they're
talking to
grooming them.
yeah, he was talking to these other blokes, and he went, "Oh, here's my little girlfriend here." And then the mum went, "No, she's 15." And even after she said, "No, she's 15," he went, "Oh, look at that." And then he went, "I'm going to be going jail in a minute." And he was actually like following her down the street and kept going, "Look at that. Oh, how can you walk that round here and not expect reaction?" And I was like, you're live streaming that. You've posted that online. And the other men were laughing at the comments. So it's like normalized. Like they think that's normal.
See,
And
again, this is the problem.
she's a
Overtly,
child. And they've said she's 15.
yeah. So overtly paedophilic behaviour
So I'm going to go
from these
jail in a
people,
minute and going oof and stuff like that. Like what?
and I mean, I'm sorry, that is just paedophilia. It's predatory. It's disgusting. It's misogynistic, and they're saying trans people are the problem.
Yeah. This
Trans
is what I
people using,
mean.
they're saying that trans people using the toilets are the problem, when actually no, it's the cis white men that are doing all this.
It's the same
That's
people who said
they're the
that like
problem.
they couldn't get a job because of the immigrants, and then they said, "Oh, why can't you
Oh
get a job?" And
God.
then he ended up saying, "Because I had a criminal conviction," and then said, "Oh, what for?" And it was for abusing children.
Oh
You know, there's all
God.
these examples of these people that apparently want to protect women and girls. They are the threat. You know what I mean? The call
Well,
is
this is the
inside the
thing.
house.
And this is the thing, isn't it? I think a lot of people that have been at these protests, shouting at hotels and painting roundabouts and all that, it's come out, they're saying they're doing it to protect our women and girls, and then it comes out that they've got convictions for assaulting women.
Yeah, and domestic abuse, and there's this. I saw this article earlier about these. There's all these blokes now that they've started this group where they're going patrols at night around the streets to protect the women at like 1 in the morning and stuff on a weekday, which that's when all the women apparently go out. And I did see one comment that made me chuckle where it said, "Oh, well, that'll please all the girlfriends and wives and the kids because they won't be in the house." But
God.
like, but that they're setting up groups now where they live stream just walking around towns at night, and they're like, we're protecting women, we're patrolling." And I'm like, from who?
Exactly.
It's,
And at that time of night.
it's just all for attention. And then when you scratch the surface, it comes out that they're paedophiles or they're domestic violence offenders. And do you know what I mean? It's just,
So it's always the ones that shout the loudest that have got more to hide.
yeah. But now they don't even hide
It's a
it. They just
distraction, isn't it?
like that video I mentioned a second ago. They
Mm,
don't even hide it anymore. They will say things that are clearly predatory and pedophilic, and then all the other men don't call it out. This is the problem. The other men should say, "Hold on a minute, that's not acceptable. She's a child.
mm.
You shouldn't be saying that." But they don't. They just laugh at it, and then it normalizes it.
It just baffles me. It just baffles me. But yeah, going back to obviously the news about the toilets, we don't agree with that guidance. We think that you should be able to use the toilet that it suits your gender. Um, it's unfair. It's discriminatory. It's exclusionary. And personally, I think it raises more risks. It raises more risks than there were in the first place. Just to appease a few people, a handful of people throughout society.
Yeah, it's putting trans people in danger even more than they already are.
Yeah,
And you're now
it's
giving
throwing
free.
it's throwing them under the bus, isn't it?
Yeah, and they are actually giving like a free pass to actual predators
Mm,
who can use this now. So you've just given
mm,
them a golden ticket to
mm,
use this to say, "Oh no, I can be in here because I'm trans." The very
mm.
thing that you said that was happening that wasn't, you're now going to make happen, and you
Yeah,
can't do anything
my
about it.
and my worry is that some poor woman or some poor women somewhere are going to become victims because of this,
And then they're going to blame trans people.
because it's opened up this free pass, and yeah, exactly, they'll blame trans people because it will come out that the perpetrator claimed that they were trans, and then
It's not how it
Ra-
works. You know what I mean?
and rather than go with the angle of actually it was a predatory cis man, they'll spin the angle as if trans people are still the problem, and that's
Yeah.
what worries me. That's what really worries me. Should we have a chat?
You were waiting for me to say go on then.
You looked a bit distracted there. So, what are we chatting about this week, Josh?
Don't know. You haven't told me yet.
I have told you.
You totally didn't send me a link about 2 minutes ago before we started.
It was a lot longer ago than that. So we are working
More
up.
like 4.
We so we are working up to Pride Month, aren't we? Pride Month is next month, and it's getting to that time of year where obviously Pride season is going to be starting, and there's going to be a lot of Pride events. Now, as we know, Pride events are mostly self-funded, aren't they? They're funded through donations, through charity work, fundraising, things like that. So they do it to, and also selling tickets as well pays off some of the costs for Pride events. Now, that obviously defeats the misconception that all Pride events are all council funded. They're not. They're not. So we'll dispel that myth right now. Now, councils may provide a little bit of funding, but any event that holds any organisers that hold community events have to apply to the council to get a grant or get some funding or additional funding for it. They're not always successful. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. Now, the reason why we're sort of bringing this up now is because on Friday there was a protest, an emergency protest outside Warwickshire County Council. Now, as we know, Warwickshire County Council is run by that rather awful party, Reform UK. And the council have decided, or they are considering, pulling funding from a charity called Equip. Now, that is, let me get what Equip stands for. So Equip is the Equality and Inclusion Partnership. It's a charity that works across Warwickshire to eliminate discrimination in all its forms. Now, anyone listening that knows a little bit more than I do, I've tried to look into this as much as possible to try and establish all the relevant data and all the relevant facts. Now, my understanding is, I think Equip gets about £135,000 annually funding. And Warwickshire County Council are looking to pull that. Now, there's a protest taking place, or there was a protest that took place outside the council offices on Friday because of the fact that Reform are pulling this or looking to pull this funding. Now, it drew my attention because a lot of people were up in arms over the fact, thinking that it was all just to do with the LGBT community. They thought that it was to do with Pride and solely Pride, and they didn't look into it any more than that. And I've seen comments from people like, when are straight people going to get funding? When are straight people going to get this? When are straight people going to get that? Why do the LGBTs need this and that? And, all the usual ignorant comments. Now, just to provide some background, Equip are a charity that provides support, advice, and training to people across Warwickshire to combat discrimination. They work alongside local groups, businesses, and organisations, helping to build understanding and cohesion throughout the community through individual support and advice, group learning, and tailored training courses. Now, they go into they do things like there's casework and supports. They assist victims of discrimination and hate crime and help them take appropriate action. There's training and development. So they deliver training courses to schools, businesses, organisations on topics like cultural awareness, mental health, and equality. Community engagement. They run local projects advocating for underrepresented groups and promoting diversity across the county. So they do a lot more stuff, and it covers literally everyone that falls under the protected characteristics in the Equality Act. So things like sexual orientation, race, religion, gender, sex, ableism, disability, things like that. So they do so much work, and I think they are deserving of that funding because it's such a broad thing across the entire county, and they need it. So why are they pulling the funding? It's all to do with Reform's whole thing around DEI. That's literally what it is. It's because they think that diversity, equality, and inclusion doesn't matter to them. Now, do you not? I mean, what do you think of this, Josh?
Well, it's not unexpected
Hmm.
because well, I think I've said before. I think I could safely say that I live in Warwickshire because it's a big place.
Hmm.
The 19
Massive.
yeah, the 19-year-old that's in charge of the council,
The child.
he's how I would describe as a teenager that has been groomed into being like the next super fascist. He has such far right wing views already before he was even like 16. There's posts and things he did that have, I would say, are extreme far right.
Hmm.
Um, he is extremely racist. He's anti-trans. He's anti-gay. He kind of has views that he sees us as like degenerates and shouldn't be around kids, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
And I think he's been set up to be the next MP, to be honest. But he did a lot of there was a lot of research done in from Warwickshire Pride last time where there was a lot of companies that have put in for grants and things and charities because there's a lot of charities that put in for grants
Hmm.
with Warwickshire Council, and it came out that all of them had been approved apart from anything to do with Pride. So all the other people that had put in for grants that either been refused or that said yes to them, they'd all got an answer.
Hmm.
But the only one that was just ignored and left was the Pride related ones.
And this is the thing. I
Uh,
mean, I think it highlights, doesn't it, the fact that it's quite concerning because we're going down that dark path where our community is a target. We've got a target on our backs, I think. Thing to say and to acknowledge, but I think it's fair to say that the way politics is going, with the way it's sort of veering more to the right, it's quite concerning how we are becoming the next target of things to not eradicate, but to silence. And I think it highlights that obviously with Pride season coming up, it highlights the importance of how Pride, going back to its roots, is and always has been a protest and should be a protest.
yeah, I think with these people though, I think that it doesn't matter what you say to try and educate them, it doesn't work. I think with although now even our so-called left-wing party that we had, Labour, that was I would have said was left-wing, but now that's even swung to the right, and and the
I
new
think
ECHR ruling and the government's
mm,
guidance today has just basically chucked trans people under the bus, and you know
mm,
what I mean, and it's basically saying that they can people using bathrooms. It's basically going to be based on how you look,
mm.
basically. So this is the problem. This is why prides are so important. But we're kind of in a place now where even the once progressive parties are now jumping on the same bandwagon.
Do you think it's because they're trying to appease the right because there's that shift to the right and um, obviously they're losing voters
I
to
just,
those kind of parties, so they're trying to win them back by saying, "Oh, we can be like them.
I
Stick
do.
with us."
I genuinely think that it's. I think to be honest, it's too late now, especially for me, Labour. I think that's too late. You've done the damage is done. But I think years ago when this started, where they were starting to the right wing was starting to attack trans people and gay people and immigrants, I think if Labour would have just said, we're not getting involved in these stupid petty things. you can use the toilet that you identify with. It's a toilet. We're not going to waste time on that. We're going to focus on more important things like being able to afford to eat and be warm in the winter.
Mm.
And as for immigrants, said things like immigration strengthens us. Yes, we should have checks and balances, but over the whole, it keeps our NHS running. It keeps the care system running. It makes us stronger. I think if they would have done that and gone that way, you know what I mean? I don't think it would have been
I
as
think
bad. But I think
I
now
think
that they've kind of just bowed down thinking they're going to win over the reform voters, which it's obvious they're not going to, but for some reason they still keep trying. I think they've just burnt every bridge down, and
mm,
that's what we're left with now.
I think I mean I'm certainly noticing a lot more hatred out there towards minority groups, not just the LGBT community, but obviously to migrants as well, to people that visibly look like they come from another country. So, and this is what I mean. This is how people are isolating people. So if you've got a different color skin, if you're not white, basically, people will assume you're an immigrant, you're not welcome here, and they'll discriminate against you,
I just think
which is absolutely wrong,
yeah,
absolutely wrong,
I
and they
just think we're
shouldn't.
in a mess. We're just in a mess. Like I don't know what's happened over the last few years. Like during COVID and things, people seem to just be nicer. Like they weren't
Mm.
not it wasn't perfect world, but people were nicer. And then afterwards, I don't know what happened. I don't know if there's something in the water or the air or something, but people have just been brainwashed and they have just
I
people are
think the
just
problem
not very
is,
nice anymore. And we just have this constant state of hatred on how just attacking people like that Tommy Robinson rally the other day.
mm,
There was an actual Tommy Robinson supporter in the crowd. Like they looked at their social media and they love Tommy Robinson. They're really racist and everything. And they started attacking this woman because they said she looked like a lefty, but she was actually a Tommy Robinson supporter. So they're just turning on themselves because apparently she looked left wing. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like what?
mm.
We're just in a constant state of anger and
I think
hatred and
I
constantly
think
wanting to attack people.
the problem is, I think because we've got such prominent figures that share these views, and I think they essentially embolden these views, you know, and they do them in such a way that they say it's their freedom of expression and they're not breaking the law. They're not saying things that is quite straightforward discrimination that could get them into trouble. They're saying things in such a way that it's sort of getting people on board, and it's falling. I mean, like you mentioned earlier about the 19-year-old in charge of Warwickshire County Council. I mean, he's now in charge of two councils, the
And he's
Nuneaton and
never had
Bedworth
a
Borough
job.
Council.
He's
Hmm.
never had a job before.
But he's been groomed. Essentially, they are grooming these people into believing all this nonsense, and they'll do all these massive sound bites of things that will be impactful, that'll be emotive, that'll get people on side. But as soon as you look into the facts around these things that they say, and you actually disprove what they've said, because they don't want to believe it, because they don't want to admit they've been caught out and they've been drawn into that, they'll say, "Oh, you would say that because you're a lefty." No, we're saying that it's because it's facts.
Yeah, I just don't think you can. I just don't see a way how we can educate these people because it's like the new immigration figures that have come out. They're saying that Labour's done what they said they were going to do, and immigration's very like it's dropped
Isn't it
thousands,
like
like hundreds of
ha-
thousands. Like, I think
hasn't it
if
dropped
you,
like by 82 or 86% or something like
yeah, I
that?
think I
It's
said
dropped.
they said when they calculate people like the Ukrainian people are moving back or deduct them and only count the illegal immigrants, it's like something like 45,000 or something.
Mm.
So and there hasn't been like a boat anything for like 2 weeks or more or something like that. And now I've seen people saying, well, that's it. They've cooked the books, they've altered the figures, and I'm like, but it's the same place that's releasing these figures. It's the same place that was telling you last year that it was up, and you were saying it was a disgrace, and you believe those figures. But now it's figures that you don't agree with, now it's all fake. So you can't win with them. I don't see a way to educate these people. I think they just want to be angry and hateful all the time. I don't think they have anything else to do. They get this little kick and this little high out of being nasty people, and I think they just enjoy. They'll just attack people. They'll turn on themselves. They'll attack each other. They'll attack minorities. They just want to
Do you
attack
think
everybody.
do you think some of that is because they don't want to admit that Labour have actually said they've done what they're going to do, and they don't want to admit that?
Yeah, because look at reform. Like they kicked off at Keir Starmer having some glasses given to him that was like a few grand or something, even though he should buy his own bloody glasses because he's a millionaire anyway. But
Mm.
on the same footing, you've got Farage, who was given 5 million by some foreign billionaire in Bitcoin that you can't trace, and he's disappeared. God knows where fucking Farage has gone. Where is he? He's disappeared.
He
And
can stay there. He can stay there.
and they're like, oh, it was just a gift. It didn't have any consequences of the gift. Yeah, sure. And then you've got like Angela Rayner that had that tax thing. She's been cleared, but they're saying that that was a disgrace. She should never be allowed in politics. And then you've got, is it Richard Tice?
Mm. Dick Lice.
Yeah, the one who's avoided paying like £800,000 in taxes and stuff. And I'm like, and then they're saying, oh, well, that was a mistake because his accountants didn't work so far. I'm like, that is the same thing that
Mm.
Angela Rayner said, and you said there was no excuses. It's your taxes. You genuinely cannot work with these people. They just they mold figures, they mold facts, they believe what they want to fit their agenda. If it doesn't fit their agenda, it's not true and it's all fake. I just don't see how it's going to be like Trump. I think the head of it needs to leave politics in order for it to die down. Trump's going to probably die off soon anyway because he's like 700 years old and rotten. But fortunately, we're just stuck with Farage for ages, aren't we? And I just think he's in it for the money, the amount of money he makes.
Don't forget he's under investigation at the moment.
But I do think
And
that even
there are
if it came out saying that he was guilty and he was charged for things, he would slither out of it and they would still defend him. That's what infuriates me. It's that you could video him committing a crime and they would just say, oh, well, he was having a laugh, or oh, that's fake. Or, you just can't. That's what's the most frustrating thing for me. It doesn't
let's say it's
matter.
AI.
They could be stood in front of him and he could kick a child in the face and they will just say, oh, he slipped. You know what I mean? They can't, that you can't win with them. It doesn't matter what it is. They will just believe what they want to believe.
Mm. Yeah, that's true. That is true. But going back to obviously the main point of this conversation, we've digressed and ranted.
To be fair, it's a political thing. So
it's all part and parcel, isn't it? But yeah, so Warwickshire County Council looking to withdraw the funding for Equip. Equip is a valuable charity. It's not
they
just
also
for...
they do a lot of mental health support as well in the community, which is, especially in our community, it's needed. But it's not. They don't just say, if you're gay, you can have mental health support. If you're straight, no, you can't come in. They help everybody.
But this is the thing. They are there for everybody. They are there for everybody. They are there to support people that are covered under all of the protected characteristics of the Equality Act, and that's whether that be lesbian, gay, straight, bi, trans, literally anyone that falls within any of those characteristics, the protected characteristics of the Equality Act, they will support you. They will be there for you. And it is important that they continue to receive that support. But my fear on it is that they've gone for it because of the LGBT aspect. That's my fear, because anything to do with diversity and equality and inclusion, it always seems, I think the most prominent protected characteristics out of that is sexual orientation, gender reassignment, and race and religion. They're the prominent ones that sort of stick out, and that's what I think people tend to focus on when they think of diversity. And I think it's given that party's dislike, shall we say, for our communities, that's why I think we tend to be targeted so much out of that. But I think that Equip should continue to get that funding. I think they should continue to get that support because it's so beneficial to everyone in those communities that they support. And as you say, they don't discriminate.
And just think when it
comes to the mental health support, they give that to straight people as well as gay people.
Yeah, and they run things like coffee meetups where you meet up and have a chat and have a coffee, or if it funds a Pride event, just think about how many people that brings in that then go around all the shops and brings life to the high streets that you apparently want to save. So
yeah,
the council probably makes more money back than what they give out for the grants because it brings it's not just local people that come to these events, it's people from all over that come to these events.
Well, that's the thing. That's an important point that you make there. You know, when you talk about Pride events, people do come from all over, and it's great for the local economy because people will want to eat out. They'll want to go for dinner at restaurants and things like that. Go to coffee shops, get something to eat, get something to drink, visit local shops. You know, and you can have a lot of small businesses that might get some additional trade because you've got a massive event like this that is bringing people from all over. But if any of you listeners would like to know a little bit more about Equip, you can go to their website, which is equipequality.org.uk. Have a look, see if that's something that interests you, something that you think might benefit you. If you're in Warwickshire and you think they might be able to support you or help you, go to their website and see and learn a little bit more about the work that they do, because I think that's quite important to give them the support that they clearly need. And I think they're just being unfairly targeted. It's now time for Josh to be a moany old bitch again. It's the complaints closet. Hi.
Hi.
Oh, I love the looks you give me when I do that. So, complaints closet, what are you complaining about this week, Josh?
Well, I did have two things I was going to complain about, and then I kind of thought actually I quite like them, so I kind of wanted to do a combo of two things that happened to me today.
All right.
So, one of them is going to be umbrellas.
All right.
Bear with me. I think umbrellas.
But it's sunny.
This is. I'm going to get to that. Now, I think umbrellas are stupid. I think they're a waste of time because
Why?
Because they always blow inside out. They always break. They never last long. If there's a slight breeze, they're just going to snap. And then when you go inside a shop, you have to keep putting it down, and then you're left with this soggy thing that's just dripping everywhere. No, don't laugh at that. And then it reminded
used to that.
Then it reminded me of a funny story once when Ash was walking behind me with an umbrella.
Oh, God.
And there was a really loud gust of wind, and I turned round and he was still walking and he didn't realise, but the actual fabric was no longer on the umbrella. So it was just the frame.
Oh dear.
And he was still walking with it. And he didn't realise. So umbrellas are useless. And then outside the doctor's today, there was just a poor little battered umbrella just on the floor, just dumped there.
Mary Poppins had a shit day.
Yeah, so I hate umbrellas, but also then I was thinking, but when it's really sunny, I like an umbrella because I don't like the sun because I'm like part vampire. So I like to be under an umbrella when it comes to the sun. So that was my conflicting complaints about umbrellas. But then the next thing I want to complain about for today that happened today is I went out for a coffee with my mum. And this has happened to me so many times in so many different cafes. I went in and I said, I want an iced latte this time with oat milk. And I said, just to make sure it's oat milk because I'm allergic. Yes, oat milk. Now, when I drink normal milk, I don't like swell up and go really like that. I just get really sick. Um, so I said, okay, and they brought it over to me and my brother and stuff, and I took one sip of it and I thought, this doesn't taste right to me because I can tell the difference. And I said to Mum, does this taste weird? And she tried it, and then my brother tried it, and they said, oh, I can't tell. And I went, there is something not right about this drink. So I went up and I said, what milk did you make this with? And they went, oh, this one. It was fucking green cow milk. And I said to them,
I've never seen green cows.
and I said to them, haha, I said to them, I said, but I asked for oat milk. I said I was allergic and I've just drank some of this and you've given me the wrong drink. And they went, oh, sorry, I thought you said you didn't say oat milk. I'll make you another one. And then she just made me another one, just gave it me. I was like, well, I've just consumed milk. That you know what I mean? And I always say that's definitely with oat milk, isn't it? I always double check.
Hmm.
And this has happened to me in, I'm going to say Costa, because I've emailed them several times before where this has happened. I've had them make me drinks that I've tried, and I've said straight away, I'm like, that's not oat milk. And they still fucking charge me 45p for oat milk, and then they don't use oat milk. And I just think I've had enough of allergens not being followed. It really irritates me so much.
Well, it's dangerous, isn't it? Because if you get someone that's
if they have
severely
a more
allergic to
severe,
something,
yeah, exactly. Like
like
ordered
peanuts,
that,
for example.
yeah, you ordered that toasty once, and I ordered a toasty,
Hmm.
and I said this one's a dairy-free toasty, so can you put it in separately? And then you saw them cutting your toasty, which was cheese, and then they cut mine with the same knife without wiping it or anything. And I went up to her and I says, did you use the same knife for this? She went, oh yeah, it's the green knife. I went, yeah, but one of them's got dairy in and one of them's not dairy. It's dairy free. So you've just contaminated my food. And they just look at you as if you're like the worst person in the world. But oh, surely that's fine. Like they just don't understand the severity of it, and it irritates me so much.
The best way to sort of come back with that, I suppose, would be to say things like, if I had a peanut allergy and I could go into anaphylactic shock through that, and you then cut that with you can then cut my food after you've cut something with peanut butter in, and you've not cleaned it, and you could kill me by giving me anaphylactic shock, then is that okay?
It just irritates me.
I suppose that's the best analogy to give, isn't it?
Yeah, it just irritates me because it happens so often, and this is why I have to be. It makes me so anxious to like eat out and things because I have to be so careful what I choose. Because even like like I just said with you, when I've been out and I've specifically said to them, this one is dairy free, please do it separately, and then they just cut it with the same knife. There's that disregard of safety.
Yeah.
And especially when there's like been court cases where people have died because of negligence in some certain Costas and things because of that. And I'm like, surely you'd learn.
This is the thing, isn't it? They could face significant legal action for stuff like that.
Because I don't want to be bloody ill anyway. And I'm just like, the amount of times I've ordered things and I've constantly said to them, that is definitely dairy free, isn't it? It's definitely okay to me. It's like, in fact, a few drinks I've had from Costa last year, like special drinks, I said, are they dairy free? Yep, as long as you have oat milk, it's fine. And I said, okay, I'll have that. And then I've had it, and then about an hour later, I'm really unwell. Like I feel I'm really nauseous, headaches, everything. And then I checked online, and it turns out all the syrup that they put in it's got milk in it. So even when I've checked with you, and you've said yes, it's definitely dairy free, you didn't even check then because you've just lied to me. And that it just irritates me where allergens just aren't taken seriously.
I think the thing is, I mean, I must admit, I was quite surprised when I learned that certain syrups contain dairy, because I look at them and I think they wouldn't look like they contain dairy. It looks like it's perhaps something that's just made out of something that's sugar based.
They should put stickers on every syrup bottle, like a green sticker and a red sticker or something, so they know that is definitely dairy free. Rather, because half the time you have to pull out this big manual that's like 160 pages, which I've had happen, and then you've got a long queue behind you, and everyone's tutting because you've going through this Bible book trying to find what's vegan and stuff.
It's like
And
it's like it's your turn on This Is Your
yeah,
Life.
I just don't know why they don't just have little stickers, like a little round green sticker or something with a VE on it, and they can just stick it onto a bottle, and then they know then that it's vegan. Like, I don't understand why they don't just do that rather than having to go through all these books. They do it with the cakes. Although they put the vegan cakes right next to the dairy-free cakes are right next to the cakes that aren't dairy-free and stuff, and the gluten-free cakes are right next to the gluten cakes. People with gluten allergies will understand that you can't even use like the same kitchen utensils if it's gluten,
Mm.
and they just put them next to each other. So my complaint is just companies that don't follow allergens. And I think their regulations need to be more stricter because they don't seem to follow them until someone dies, and then that's when they get in trouble.
So basically, your complaint is about companies that are trying to kill you.
Yeah, it's about umbrellas that are useless and then companies that want to kill you.
So you've had two complaints. That's not fair.
Yeah, but the first one was kind of a complaint, but then I said, well, actually, I would quite like an umbrella if it's sunny. Like if I'm on holiday. I was
So
under an umbrella a lot when we was on holiday.
so it's a contradictory complaint.
Yes, that's why I had to do a second one. Now you can complain.
Thank you. Well, it's something I've complained about before, but it's happening again, and it keeps happening again. And it's
Did you wet yourself again?
no, no. What do you mean again?
What
Cheapage.
about you
No.
went no before?
No. No, it's people that leave disgusting things in places.
Oh, guys, you're going to be bodily functions again. We've done full circle.
No, no, no.
It is.
No, it's not. It's not. So I went to the gym again, right? And in
Oh,
the gym,
God.
private cubicle. So you've got a door, you lock it, you can change in there, and you've got a shower in there, right? I
Mm-hmm.
go in the shower, I'm showering away, happy as anything. I turn
Oh.
around, I look down, and on the floor is someone's chewing gum.
Oh.
Yep, they've left their chewing gum there. And not only that, the other day, previous day to that, I was at the gym, went to one of the shower cubicles, and it was it. Someone had clearly just used it, and obviously the floor was covered in soap suds where they'd not.
Was it soap?
Definitely soap suds, definitely soap suds. But then I looked into the shower. There was barely any floor space that wasn't wet that I could stand
Mm-hmm.
on, and it was the only cubicle available for me to change in. I looked into the shower, and what I can only describe as Ozzy Osbourne's wig
Oh,
was on the
God.
floor in there. The amount of hair that had come out of whoever it was, his head, that was on the floor, that was all entangled and mixed up in these soap suds and everything. I thought, that is disgusting.
Some
That is
people
disgusting.
need to be just cast out of
Surely,
society.
surely you would just clean that up, or at least if you've got a towel and you're drying yourself, just put it down on the floor because your towel's going in the wash when you get home anyway. Just put it on the floor and clean some of that up so that the next person that goes in hasn't got to try and you know jet ski over the
This
floor.
is why I wouldn't use public showers or toilets. They're just, unless I really, really, really had to, they're just,
I
the
will s- I
idea.
will, I will say though, in defence of my gym, they do their utmost to keep that place clean and tidy.
Yeah, but people
They
are just disgusting, aren't they?
but yeah, I think it just so happened that I went into these cubicles after people had just used them, and obviously they can't go in every time someone's been in there and then clean it thoroughly. So in their defence, I will stand up for them in that respect because the
I think the gum's
staff there are
worse.
brilliant. Oh yeah,
Like
yeah. I mean,
hair, that's disgusting. But
well, I've even had a used plaster stuck to the back of the door
see, it's things like
before.
that. The gum and the plaster, that I'd say that's worse because you've chosen to leave that.
And I've been into a shared toilet as well where the bogies on the wall.
See,
And I mean
some people just need to be
proper
taken onto
bogies.
an island and just left there.
But why? Why? You've got fucking toilet tissue in there. Just pull that down.
We just
Put your bogies in that. Bung it in the toilet. Flush it.
we have a hygiene issue in society.
Why? Why?
I don't know.
It just
People are
it just bothers me. It really bothers me. And I'm probably going to complain about it again at
It's like
some
them
point in the
people the
future.
other day where I went, we went to the public toilets where I had to actually use one because I really needed to.
Mm.
And I was using the urinal, and then there's like three other blokes using urinals, and then I finished and I went to wash my hands. While I was washing my hands, all three of them just walked out, and I was like,
That really
not
bothers me.
none of you just washed your hands, and now you're going to go and touch all the car meter machines or the handles and stuff. This is why I don't touch escalator handles. I'd rather just risk falling.
But
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 people are just
like you say,
gross.
I mean, I think those toilets they didn't have a door that you have to then pull the handle to open.
Luckily,
But it's when they do that and then they use the handle and walk out and you just washed your hands. You think, right, I can't get out of here now
I
without
think toilets should have like
effectively
automatic
touching your
doors.
urine.
I think they should have automatic doors or some sort of button that you can like hit with your elbow.
Mm,
Or a floor button that you just kick it and then it opens the door
mm,
for you or something like that. Because you wash your hands and then you've got to try and get out of this trapped room with a handle that's probably covered in everybody else's penis germs because they can't wash their
ugh,
hands and whatever other
ugh.
germs are on it.
But yeah, that's my complaint this week.
Disgusting
People that are
hygiene.
disgusting hygiene,
And
things that they're leaving everywhere.
who chews gum in a shower? That just sounds disgusting.
They were probably chewing it in the gym and then realised there was no bin in the
Oh, just
shower
swallow it. You're not
cubicle.
going to die.
And that is all we've got time for on this very hot and sweaty Sunday evening or afternoon, whichever time you're listening. We've enjoyed bringing this episode to you this week. We hope that you've enjoyed it. Have you enjoyed it, Josh?
Yes, it's been very
Hot.
hot, very,
Bunged
very,
up.
very, very hot and hay fevery for me. But I've made it through.
Bless you. Bless you. So we will be back again in a couple of weeks' time with another episode. And in fact, when our next episode comes out, Pride season will have started. So we'll have another Pride special for you. So thanks for listening. Until next time, stay safe and be happy.